Nigerians, this man don set internet on fire. Abeg, make una no share this video go where Wike dey, the FCT minister, and President Tinubu and the Minister of Work, Honorable Dave Umahi, because wetin this man just expose for inside this particular video no be wetin I go like make President Tinubu or any APC supporter hear am. Make una come hear this man im own reaction for so many questions wey be like say one journalist dey ask am for inside this particular video about the happenings in this country. But na wetin come talk at the ending of this video na wetin shock me. Make una share this video because people like Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and all the opposition members and Nigerians need to come watch this video.
Just 30 minutes left, so we need to, but we still have quite a number to cover. Critics have said that the APC Tinubu-led administration is totally disconnected from the everyday reality of Nigerians in terms of economy and insecurity. How do you respond to this?
I will say that Tinubu, through some of his pronouncements, he means well. That's what I want to think, because I like the rhetorics I hear. But it is an implementation. Don't forget, the most important factor and tool of leadership is trust. If they don't trust you because you don't give accounts, they will continue to say what. So if the economy gets well only when people in government give statements, but when you look on the streets, the people still suffer. And then they'll tell you they're doing well in insecurity, and yet the people in the Benue Valley cannot go tonight and sleep. People in Plateau cannot sleep. People in Briningwari cannot sleep. People in Southern Kaduna cannot sleep. Hausas in Katsina, Zamfara, and Sokoto cannot sleep. Then something is wrong. Kwara State is just a new thing because of the pressure on the Benue Valley. That's why they now did a diversion. Because you have militias with guns, so if you stop them from going to Route A, they will, with those guns, enter Route B. So when they enter Kwara, and then from Kwara, they now entered Oyo, they've been in Oyo since. Don't forget, they've always been in Shaki. And then from the difference this time is that it was not just the problem in Shaki. It was the advance towards Ogbomoso, and then the kidnappings and so on. If we had always had institutional outrage over these issues, the government may have found the will. But of course, you had a collective tribal outrage expressed by the Yorubas, and that was why you saw the government did what they did. But then, despite what they did, the governor of Oyo, on behalf of Oyo people, is demanding for an independent interrogation and investigation of the circumstances surrounding these kidnaps and their subsequent release.
What's your own assessment, if you also give a score of President Tinubu's performance in 3 years? Because it's 3 years and about 2 months now. What score? In 1 minute, what's your score? How do you rate the president, the administration?
26 to 28%.
Not even 30%.
You wouldn't do, because Tinubu has failed in lots of ways. He has sustained the embrace of nepotism as policy of state, which is wrong. But I also see he's united quite a lot of us. Some people who were not there, like the Ezon, are now beginning to also cry. The Ezon were promised to be part of the new Nigeria in '66 if they join the civil war on the federal side. What have they gotten? Even when they were promised Port Harcourt, Port Harcourt was removed from them by Abacha. And everything you have today in Rivers State were all people who were under the Igbo-Aro Confederacy that lasted from 1640 to 1900. The only people in today's Rivers State that were not part of the Aro Confederacy are the Ogoni. Ogonis came from Bakongo. Bakongo today is shared into 3 countries: Congo, Kinshasa, Congo, Brazzaville, and Angola. So they came here, but after the Emancipation Proclamation, they were kept where they are. And that's what it is. The rest of them, everybody, are Igbo. So the idea of telling me, who was born in Diobu, who grew up around Port Harcourt, trekking from Diobu to Nembe Waterside, from Nembe Waterside to Rumumase, where my sister got married, that I should deny my heritage. That's nonsense. But of course, there are Igbos willing to deny their heritage. You can see it. And that's why you say, when those things happen, what is it? Is the Nigerian state putting pressure on them? Port Harcourt was renamed in 1913 The real name of that place is Iguacha. Iguacha, it means in Igbo, white hill. It was renamed in 1913 to honor Lord Vernon Harcourt, who at that time was Secretary of the Colonies in the British government. Because Port Harcourt was being used as a staging post to export the coal that Daddy Onyema was bringing from the mines in Enugu. And that's what it is. So whether you want to deny who you are or not, I see myself as a Rivers man. Me and Wike, we are Aro Ikwere. It was the Aro that were there, the Aro Confederacy. That's what it is. So if you now want me to deny my heritage because you want me to gain acceptance, I would not agree.
Okay, so President Tinubu has done, you score him 26%.
I was slotted Tinubu 25, 26%, yes.
Okay. And
But that does not say that he may not. The reasons why Tinubu didn't do well in my ranking is when he came in, the single biggest problem Nigerians had was insecurity. He came in, and when he was asked about the Benue thing, he said it's intercommunal clash. How? Benue is 98% Christians, and people come there to say Allah Akbar and start killing people. Ask me what Benue's offense is. They have water, and they have a special species of the elephant grass which cattle love, and that's why the Fulani set upon taking Benue by force. Same thing with areas of Mambila, the Kaka and the Pansa, and the Mambilan plains in Gembu. Same problem. Same thing all over Southern Kaduna. Same thing with Jos. You know, Jos humidity is so beautiful, the British stayed there. I grew as a child in Jos. When I grew in Jos, there was no Fulani in Jos. Mostly along Jubilee, it was just the British. After Gowon did that indigenization decree, the British now left Jos and left Kaduna. That's why the thing became empty. And suddenly, we're now having people being killed. So for me, insecurity in any part of Nigeria is a threat to security all over the country. And I blamed President Tinubu for not having the courage to calibrate a response to these killings, because the first duty of government is the protection of lives and property.
Okay. Let's interrogate President Tinubu's democratic credentials. He was touted as a Democrat, that he was part of those who fought against military dictatorship under Abacha, went into exile, joined the NADECO coalition forces that, resisted Abacha's the tyrannical activities and all of those. And then he came back, became governor, But here we are, 3 years into his administration. As we speak here, El-Rufai is in prison, not convicted yet, but going through judicial process. He's been granted bail, but once a court gives him bail, very stringent conditions, it's coming out, another, agency hauls him in, and then. So my question, Dr. Kach, how do you assess President Tinubu's democratic credentials? Is he indeed a Democrat? Do you think he's a Democrat?
Tinubu can be called a Democrat by rhetorics, but by action, it's not democratic. If under Tinubu, ministers under him are going to court every day to try to kill PDP, kill ADC, kill NDC, there's no democracy in that. I have known Tinubu as a Lagosian. His strategy is, if he sees an opposition, if he sees an opponent, he'll try to delete that opponent or even delete the platform. That's been his strategy. So that he brought it nationally, I'm not surprised. But I also don't blame him totally. I blame Nigerians. Our country is as bad as it is because of our docility. If we were not docile, if we were not divided, we wouldn't be. Can you imagine the people suffering today? The indigenous people. Today, look at all these generals, these big boys of the militia. Bello Turuji is not Nigerian. He's from Niger. Bello Bodejo is from Niger. So when you start hiring all these foreigners to start fighting to take over Nigeria, I don't really think it's... So I thought Tinubu should have, as he hits the ground, do that. There is enough number for him to impress and actually run on that record of having saved the people from dying. Why has the killing stopped in Benue Valley? Because the Americans came here. Why? The Benue church went to Rome. Rome directed them to Washington. They got to Washington, linked up with other Nigerians, made their case, and they said yes. The reasons why Tinubu and Buhari didn't care about people shouting Allah Akbar and killing Christians is because the people being killed as Christians. And that was how the Americans came here. But if you ask me, I know the Americans have always wanted to come to Nigeria since the days of Obasanjo. They didn't come here invited by a government. No, don't forget, they forced themselves here. Why? Nigeria is not Iran. Iran has a standing army. Nigeria doesn't have one. The army in Nigeria was damaged, compromised, and Afghanistan by the Buhari regime. And that's why you saw it's like those Fulani militias were invisible. They're not invisible. So when Christopher Musa came and people like me and others were campaigning for a reversal of that doctrine of do not engage, which was the doctrine Buhari's administration used to tie the hands of members of our security services. As I'm speaking to you, there are still arguments in the army whether they should respect General Christopher Musa's words that people abandon that doctrine of do not engage. Shoot if anybody cock gun near you. Fire if anybody fires. That's what it should be. Not wait until you get directive from politicians before you now do that. That's what damages. And who does this? That's why you saw when they have credible, actionable intelligence that there will be a kidnap. And then people will tell people to stand down weapon. Even where soldiers are put there, like you saw in the last area, the soldiers were removed. So there are still people in the security services who are still loyal to the Buhari doctrine. And that's our problem. So that's why I support Tinubu's most, I would say, revolutionary achievement since he became president. And that was the move towards state police. Some people fear that state police may be abused by governors, but this is a time of war. And whether you like it or not, the Fulani militias are very audacious. So if you take them to joke, you're just playing at, look at, you stop them from Benue, they now corner to Kwara and start moving into Oyo. Let the people have the guns. The state police will be the first place where you will now arm indigenous Nigerians to look after themselves. Nobody can be compromised if his village is under attack.
Do you think President Tinubu's administration is being fair to Malam Nasir El-Rufai because of the role you and I know El-Rufai played in enabling President Tinubu's victory in 2023, meaning rallying the North, northern votes for him, getting his fellow northern governors, elites, ulamas, the clerics, and all of those to deliver block votes. Some accounts between 50-60% of the entire 8 million votes President Tinubu got came from the North. So the wives of Malam Nasir came out the other day appealing to the conscience of President Tinubu that is this how you repay us for what our husband and we ourselves did. Do you believe Malam Nasir deserves what he is going through currently?
I was asked the same question last month in a fora in the United States. I told them that this issue between Tinubu and El-Rufai is what Nigerian police refers to as family case.
They are not two family members.
Family case. Hear me now. El-Rufai was in the same family.
Political family.
Political family of those who plotted to bring Tinubu to power. But the problem was, Tinubu said, at the time when the exit polls were coming, and we saw that Peter Obi won the election in all the military installations across Nigeria, the results were stopped. And we said, why are you stopping this? Because I, as head of media, I served as special advisor to Peter Obi on public affairs. Keyamo served as special advisor to Tinubu on public affairs. Dino Malaya served as special advisor to Atiku Abubakar for public affairs. And I knew what was going around on all those issues. And I knew when we asked questions of why have you stopped the collection of the results? They told us there was a glitch. El-Rufai, Tinubu, and others were in the same family doing what they were doing. So for me, that was why you saw, even after the elections and Tinubu was sworn in as president, when they came talking to us that we should join them to do a national protest against Tinubu, I told my people, don't. I reach out to market leaders and leaders all over the places, the sales. I say, don't join. This is not our problem. This is their local family matter. That's why I say this is what police called family case. We refused to join them. And that initial protest against President Tinubu failed. But when it now came to issues of talk about let us form coalition, I told Peter, I said, look, these people asking for coalition are the same people who said no when we started our quest for equity in the PDP. Because that was how we formed the movement. We started in the PDP. I was saying no to them, me and Doino Kukwe, but we didn't have a candidate. When I first met Peter, Peter refused to run against Atiku. Quote me. I had to go to Igbo leaders, Chief SNO Keke, Okwadike that died, Chief Ezife. That was when the pressure came on Peter. Until we organized in, we'll say, a gathering of several Igbos from Abuja. They came, and Peter came that day. Peter said he will run. And that was how we started. So when I started doing what we were doing, we had our association build up organically. And that was when everybody started coming in. Tanko came from National Action Party. Kenneth Okonkwo came from APC, Enugu APC. We in the PDP were the foundational members of the movement. That's why when people come and try to damage it, I said, look, we were fighting for equity. And the equity is for the inclusion of all of Nigeria's diversity in the governance of its presidential system. That's what we're doing. But some people didn't understand. They thought it was an issue for money. So for me, what happens between President Tinubu and El-Rufai is something I lovely will want to stay out so that I can hear. No, because you see, when you now see, my mother tells me that whenever armed robbers come and steal from you, and they start fighting in public about the sharing of the loot, don't put your hand, so that you can understand properly what really happened when they came to your house. But on the issue of law, every worker deserves his wage, and every citizen deserves their right. El-Rufai's rights should be respected in line with the law. What they did to us, I don't think they should do it to them. Remember during that time, Osinbajo got up one time and said that he would take me to court. He gave me 7 days that if I do not take back what I said in public, that he will take me to court. I did not move. I told those who came to me, I said, if Yemi tries, I see him in any court, I will do what? I will open chapter 2 of my files on him. Yemi never went to court because I knew the game. From the talks I've had with elder statesmen, I was told that Yemi will never go to court because the immunity is not on him. The immunity is on the office of the vice president. So if he wanted to go to court against me, Kachi Ononuju, he will need to resign. And when some leaders asked me, Kachi, do you really think Yemi will resign because of you? I said, no. They said to me, don't worry. That's why I wasn't moved that time. So I have been through these issues. When you deal with a man, there are consequences when you plot with a man and you don't know who he is. So this is what it is. For El-Rufai and Tinubu's issue, as I said earlier, is a family case. But because El-Rufai is a Nigerian, I will fight that his right be respected, that he be given his right under our constitution. He should be given bail so that he can fight his cases. There are cases against him, just the way they are taking Malami's own. Malami, remember, was Attorney General. Under the democracy, after the president, you have Attorney General. But where is Malami today? So nothing lasts forever, my dear brother. It is good that all of us come together to make Nigeria better than people conniving to establish this state capture, which I think what you see Tinubu doing are consequences of state capture. And Mr. El-Rufai, yes, I blame him in the past for being part of the clique that plotted to capture the state, but the hand unto whom they have now trust the state so captured is now dealing them a very, very dirty hand.
Thank you for watching that video. So guys, before you leave, look at it down here. Do well to subscribe and also put on your notification bell so that whenever we upload any video in this great platform, you will be the first to see it. And please don't forget to drop your comment at the comment section what you think about this video, your opinion as well. See guys, this is what I'm going to end the video and I will